When you're on the Tollway, peace of mind is just a call away. With the Illinois Tollway Star 999 service, help is always at your fingertips. Whether it's a flat tire or an unexpected breakdown, our dedicated team is here to assist you anytime and anywhere on the Tollway. Drive with confidence knowing that Star 999 is just a dial away. Remember, Star 999, we're always there when you need us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Intercepted with Kevin Byard, presented by Illinois Tollway. Usually I start this episode out obviously introducing my guest, but before I do that, I kind of want to address just to the viewers and to all the fans of this show, obviously the past 48 hours, obviously recapping the game, disappointing loss, obviously, definitely didn't get the results that we wanted, and we're just shooting this episode on Tuesday, so just got word this morning. Coach Flus had texted captains and let us know, the team and the offense is moving forward. Different leadership on the offensive side of the ball with Shane Waldron being out and Thomas Brown is in, calling the plays, and obviously got to respect, the decisions of the organization making that move. For me personally, when you lose a game like on Sunday, and you put so much work in throughout the week and you don't get the results that you want, it's very frustrating. Just even to the fans, obviously we know you're frustrated. We see you, and it's disappointing. So for me, it's always those emotions kind of going back and forth, especially after the game. Monday, had meeting with the team and things like that. And for me, I usually like to ground myself with, spending time with the family. So, going back home, spending time with the kids and my wife and just enjoying some time together. Me and my wife, talking. We went and got something to eat last night after we went to the movies and really had some good discussions. And I think that one thing that she kind of just brought to my attention that I think that is good for anybody that's going through any type of adversity or going through things that, we going through as a team right now is that, at the end of the day, I would just try to express my gratitude, with my circumstances and the circumstances of this team. Things aren't going as well as we want to right now, but life is all about perspective, right? We're 4-5. We haven't had the success we wanted, but, what a great opportunity. The challenge to be able to go out here and change things around of this week, the challenge of, coming here tomorrow, with a great attitude, practicing hard, preparing even more, doing all those things. And for myself as a leader, I want to make sure that I'm showing that as much as possible. So the challenge, obviously, this week we have our division rivals, the Green Bay Packers. And I haven't been in Chicago that long, but I know how big this game is for the city and just for this team. So want to be able to go out there and win this ball game. But just for me personally, trying to be where my feet at and taking everything day to day, just making sure I'm having the best attitude, making sure I'm working hard, making sure I'm being the example in the light that I want my teammates to show as well. So just for me and just for this week, man, I just want to be the best leader I can and try to help this team, get things turned around. So with that being said, I am welcomed by my esteemed guest, Cairo Santos. Appreciate you, man, coming on the show.
Yes, sir.
So, I wanted to bring Cairo on the show because I know at the end of the day, people probably want me to bring on an offensive guy or something like that with all the stuff that's going on right now. But I wanted to show love to, in my opinion, one of the best players we have on our team. And I don't say that, just to be saying it because you're sitting right here. No, the success you have had, not only just this year, but the past 3 years. I wrote some stats down. I had to do my research, you know what I'm saying, because this guy, Cairo, is a legend. So I just want to kind of go over some stats so people can really understand how really good this guy is and how he's been. So, but most people that don't know, you're the first Brazilian football player to ever play in the NFL. That's an awesome honor. You were a Lou Grozer winner in 2012 when you was at Tulane. All-American that year as well. Just this year, you're 12 for 14 on field goals. I think the past 3 years, and just think about 50 plus field goals, you're 17 for 20. That's incredible. That's an incredible stat. I don't think people really realize how impressive that is. I think last year, and this is just my humble opinion, I think you was a Pro Bowl snub last year. I think if the record would have been a little bit different, you probably would have been in the Pro Bowl, but you was 35 for 38 on field goals. That's an impressive stat. And you signed a 4-year extension with the team this past offseason, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And also happy birthday. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday, Cairo. So
yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So I kind of want to get started, kind of just going back. Obviously you're born in Brazil. I hope I'm saying this right. Sao Paulo, how you say it?
São Paulo.
São Paulo. You were born in Sao Paulo. I think I read that your father worked as a pilot. Am I correct?
Correct, yeah.
Your father worked as a pilot, and you end up you moved to America at the age of 15?
15, yeah.
15 as a foreign exchange student, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that just before the age of 15 because, my childhood, I moved to Atlanta, Georgia at like around the age of 15. Obviously, my move wasn't as big as yours. But just talk about your childhood, your upbringing in Sao Paulo, and just like the culture of Brazil. I want you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. No, first of all, thanks for having me on, man. It's a pleasure to support my guy here, somebody I admire on and off the field, obviously as a leader of this team, but awesome dude too. So
thank you.
So I grew up in Brazil, and then we have a saying in Brazil that's you're born to play soccer, and that's how I grew up. Ever since I could walk, my parents bought me a soccer ball, and I'd kick around the house, break things in the house, and had to eventually get to the soccer fields and courts to develop my game, and that was my dream, to be a soccer player my whole life. But in Brazil, it's so competitive. The kids that in the team that I was playing were having to drop out of school to devote on morning and afternoon to soccer, playing in 2 teams sometimes, and going to tryouts in different cities to get catch on with like a youth division on the team, and that's something my parents didn't allow me to do. Is just education was so big to them, and the doors that could open in your life. If sports, as we all know, even in soccer, football, whatever sport, it's a small number of players that make a career, and harder to even make it is to stay.
Exactly.
And in every sport like that. So from an early age, my dad, as you mentioned, he got his pilot license actually here in the U.S. And he went back to Brazil and became a captain for an airline, a commercial airline there, and his main route was to Disney or Orlando, Miami. So he would take our family to Disney every year. So
that's cool.
From like 5 years old all the way till 14, 15, and then at that age, I was starting high school and realizing that the route to reach my dream in Brazil was getting tough to be a soccer player. So my dad told me, how the American culture, that you come here, play sports. That every school, high school invests a lot in the sports, in youth programs. So there's maybe a possibility that I come here, get a great education, and then there's a door for me to become a soccer player here. So I trusted that and came, but learning the American culture right away. My buddies in high school, my host brother, the host family I live with, they introduced me to a different shaped ball that I see them throwing, and I couldn't throw a spiral, and I felt like I wasn't fitting in, like playing the 7-on-7 games or playing the backyard football games, and it's like, just try to kick it, like you're a heck of a soccer player. I was like, you can kick that thing? And say, you just hold it up, right? Like just take 3 steps back, 2 to the side, and just kick as hard as you can. And just in our front yard, I did that, and I kicked so far, it was like 3 houses down. And then they couldn't believe it, and they were stepping off the distance that I kicked, and I said, dude, you just kicked it 60 yards.
60 yards.
Just in the air, and it's like, you got to come out and talk to our coach. I think you can kick a football. And so that next day, this was on the weekend, so that Monday, we went and talked to the football coach, and I said, I went to a really small high school in Florida. We had 21 kids on the team, and so they didn't have a kicker, So they just all right, go out to the field after school and let's see if you can kick. And that day, I made an extra point, and he kept backing me up. I made a 50-yard field goal with the snap and hold. And
50-yard field goal is impressive in high school, not even gonna lie.
Exactly. And I was a sophomore at the time, and like, you know, back then, like, it was almost like unheard of for a sophomore to make a kick like that. You know, nowadays kickers gotten so much better, but and then he was like, first of all, you're on a team, and you're playing Friday, and
they didn't even have no pass for you. No, they just like, you playing on Friday no matter what.
Yeah, you're playing Friday, and then and second of all, you have the talent to like get a scholarship and get your education paid for. Not even talking about NFL, but just like using that route through sports to get a better education and like opening a door for your life. And that's like, it kind of lit up a bulb in my head too. You know, I still love soccer. It's my number one passion. I'm going to keep trying this in high school, but I'm also going to keep trying football, because if he says that I can get this, you know, go through this route and get a scholarship, that's what I'm going to try to do for my future.
So I just want to take a step back real quick, because everything you said, that was phenomenal. That was crazy. Number one, just you spoke about, you know, soccer and just the culture in Brazil. And I've heard this, obviously I haven't experienced as much, but I remember I was in Germany, I think it was a couple years ago, and somebody was kind of speaking and saying just how competitive soccer is, or just football. Obviously we play American football, but, you know, because you talk about, I mean, just being in America, you know, we have so many different outlets. We have basketball, football, baseball, so many different sports, where in Brazil, you just have football. Probably, I mean, I'm obviously have other sports, but like you said, how competitive that is, I'm sure that was tough. But I think that you said something that's very profound, just with your father and him going back and forth to America and seeing just a different route, you know what I mean? To be like, well, if you come here, you know, obviously it's very competitive, but just seeing a different option to be like, well, you know, if you come here and get a great education, you can play a different sport. I also think it's just very crazy that, so you pretty much never had really heard or like understood American football before you came to the States.
No, I knew it was part of the culture just from watching like high school like movies and something like
just
like,
off movies
just
and
off
stuff though,
movies,
like,
just like
crazy.
you'd see the sport, but I never paid attention that there was a kicker. Like I never stopped to watch the game to understand that like kicking is part of it. Like didn't even know like there was a goalpost. Like
really,
I never like paid attention to it like that, because I've always been small. Like I always thought, you know, that I'll die if I play that game. I'll get crushed. Like so it was, to me it was like not even something that caught my attention. And to this day, honestly, like I watch football games like to watch the kickers and punters. Like,
exactly.
If you
the
take
other
that,
part's too complicated.
If you take that from the game, I'll never watch an NFL game again.
That's hilarious. It is crazy because like, I mean, that's literally like a scene of a movie. I'm just thinking like a movie of like you just going outside with like, you said your host family or whatever, because you stayed with a family while you did your foreign exchange, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, just go outside and just kick a ball. All of a sudden the ball goes 60 yards. It was like, you need to talk to the coach and play. That's literally just like a movie. Like I may, well, not me, but you may need to really get the rights to that and try to start your own TV show or movie, because that's an incredible story. I also read that, you know, obviously you play high school ball. I seen something as well that said you spent time playing kicker, punter, but also wide receiver. Is this true?
It's true. So because I went to such a small school, so my senior year, we had so many injuries to our starting receivers, and we're already thin anyways, and guys had to play both sides of the ball. So we ran out of people, and I was pretty fast at soccer, and so I was probably one of the fastest kids on the team, but I never tried a different position. So because we had to get more bodies out there, they taught me just the basics of the plays, you know, had the trees and stuff. So like odd numbers,
that's hilarious.
Odd numbers one way, even numbers the other way.
That's like how they teach it.
So
that's funny.
And we had a star running back, so everything was running, and our other receiver on the other side was really good too, a senior. So just kept feeding him the ball.
Right.
I got thrown the ball to 3 times. And I caught all 3.
Okay,
and
there you go.
I scored a touchdown
and
too.
That's tough.
Yeah, but I ball rarely came to me. It was I had a few plays. It was like I had like a crack block that like I just go and take out the outside linebacker, and
that's hilarious though.
I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of went and you know so I got running through a wall. But it was fun because I got to experience a playing the game
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that
From a different position.
From a different position that I would never be able to do that in college or in the NFL.
Exactly.
So it's cool to see that I caught a touchdown and kicked the extra point and kicked the touchback
in the same game.
In the same game.
But it's crazy because I mean, at the end of the day, that's a pretty. I mean, it's a short-lived receiving career, but it's pretty. Three targets, 3 catches, tub, and retire from receiving position. That's cool. So obviously, you out of high school, went to Tulane, committed to Tulane. Also read obviously 4-year letterman. You made the freshman all-conference team, Conference USA. Obviously, I was a part of Conference USA as well. Your second year, this was your first year was 2010, all-conference team. But your breakout year was 2012, where you end up being the All-American Lou Groza Award. I think you made every single kick that year except for one that got blocked. Just talk about that, like, because like you said, just a few years ago, you pretty much just discovered football, and then all of a sudden now you're like the nation's top kicker. How did that feel? Just that accomplishment of, just going from pretty much just learning the game to being, the best kicker in the country.
Yeah. To be honest, like I didn't think I was kind of just focused on Tulane. Like first, I had to compete right at freshman year to be the starting kicker, and then had a good freshman year. Then after that, there was more competition, and I still didn't think that like my goal was to get to the NFL. At that point, I think it was just so focused on 1 year at a time, which kind of led me to just kind of keep it my goal so like small in a way that like
just being right where your feet at,
exactly, just make one kick at a time, and thing kind of got to a level that I was just like kicking at I say like unconsciously, like you just kind of
using
flow state, just kicking and going, and it was an incredible year that I made 21 of 21 field goals and made the longest kick in Tulane history. It was a 57-yarder.
Wow.
Made a couple game winners, and it was just kind of flowing, and all of a sudden you're All-American. You were at the ESPN award shows with Nick Saban and like Johnny Manziel, all these guys, and like Dustin Hopkins, who's still in the league, and Caleb Sturgis, who was a kicker for University of Florida. That I was a little bit of a Florida Gators fan, through my friendship in Jacksonville. So it was surreal to me. It was like, I'm here, like
that's awesome,
just by making one kick at a time, and then ended up winning the Lou Groza Award. And I think that put me in the map, to get scouted in the NFL, and also to believe that like I can really do this. I can. So that's a year that changed for me. That I really started to believe myself that I got what it takes to go to the NFL, and so it was such a special year that I've had moments like that in my life, but I'll never forget just how that level of performance, that you just kind of like an out of body experience, that like you're just kicking without thinking, and that's what as athletes we always want to get to that level, that the game feels easy and fun.
No, absolutely. That's incredible because a couple things you said, like kicking unconsciously. I've had moments in my career like that where you just felt like you were playing unconscious. Like I always go back to one of my favorite plays that I've had in my career. I caught a pick six against Matt Stafford, and I just remember like unconsciously like being like so dialed into like the guy had motioned the cross, and I had just like seen the quarterback check, and he went to a shotgun formation. I'm like, it's got to be passed. It can't be run no more. And like I just was like in a zone to where I completely forgot what the coverage was, and I just ran and picked the ball off. And I remember getting to the sideline, and the coach was like, my DB coach was like, hey, you were supposed to be in this area right here. And I had literally was so zoned out that I had sat on the bench like, oh shoot, I literally just like went outside. The entire defense just made like the best play of my career. But like you said, you were kind of unconscious because you were just really in the moment. You was dialed in. And that's also good. Just think about my college career. The year you was All-American, I was a freshman All-American in 2012. That was my first year playing at MTSU. And I remember, well, just like that whole process where like, I was really just so focused on just like right then, like my goal going into the year was literally to become a starter. Like I didn't even at the time, I didn't think that I would be as good as I was going to be. It was just like work hard, try to be a starter, work hard away, just doing all the little things. And then I made a freshman All-American team. And then at that point, I just seen like the list I was on. It was guys from Alabama and like SEC guys. And I'm thinking like, man, if I can get on the list with these guys, hey, maybe I might be able to have an opportunity to play in the pros. But first, it was just something like, I'm here to get my education, have fun, be in college. I'm striving to that, but it wasn't just like a reality at that point. And so, then I'm here. But just first thing, just like you said, man, just having your head down, just being where your feet at, this step, next step, this step, not really looking too far ahead, but just focusing on right now is huge. And so I know after you made the All-American Lou Groves Award, you stayed in Tulane 2 more years. You was first team all conference USA. It was 2013, 2014. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, did you even think like to leave after that your junior year, or was like, what was the thought process with you staying your senior? Because obviously you already had all the awards and everything. Like, what made you stay that senior year?
I did think about leaving, but I knew it wasn't the right decision because of the 2 guys that were at the award with me, Dustin and Caleb. They were seniors and entering the draft, and ended up getting drafted that year. But I thought like this class is really strong for kickers, and I really just had one breakout year. Right. So I knew it was important to not only prove that I can do it again and show more consistency to improve my chances, but finish my education as well, because I was a true freshman. So that was something that it was something my dad always, like, dating back to those days of high school, like why even I came to the U.S. was to get an education and not put all your chips in sports. And so it was big to me to finish my degree in America, because if I didn't get to the NFL, that would open so many doors for me going back to Brazil with a college degree from a university in the U.S. So I did want to leave to capitalize on that year, but it felt clear to me that I should stay, and ended up working out.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it definitely ended up working out. That's also, obviously, you left after your senior year. You went undrafted, which is, I don't know how that happened, unfortunate, but God works in mysterious ways. Mm-hmm. So you started in Kansas City. You spent your first 4 years in Kansas City. It's crazy because we was kind of talking before we started the interview that the kicker that left Kansas City when you got there was Ryan Suckup. Yeah. Ryan Suckup was the kicker when I got drafted. He was the kicker there. Yeah. Ryan Suckup was a great kicker for us in Tennessee, and he had an injury his last year in Tennessee, and you came and replaced him there, which was pretty awesome. Yeah. So kind of talk about your journey. Obviously, you was in Kansas City. Before you talk about your journey, I kind of want to speak on, you started in Kansas City 4 years, and then you went through a period of, from 2017 to 2019, like 2 or 3 years, where you played on like 3 or 4 different teams. Obviously, you was the Bears. I think, obviously, you came to Tennessee. I think it was maybe 1 more, 2 other teams. Yeah.
After Tennessee, I ended up coming here, but before Tennessee, I went to the Rams and the Buccaneers.
And the Buccaneers. So speak on just that journey, because obviously, you're in one place for a while. You're in Kansas City. You're having a really good career. And I think you maybe had an injury at Kansas City, like your last year there. And then you end up kind of moving around a little bit before you made your way back to the Bears. Kind of talk about just that that moment of time in your career where, you did face some adversity, obviously being highly touted out of college. Yeah. How did you deal with that? Not only just the physical injury started, but the mental part of it, just the adversity.
Yeah, so I going back to the early Kansas City, going undrafted. That didn't bother me too much because I just wanted one opportunity to compete, and I had that. I believed in myself at that moment that I could make just one kick at a time, and who knows what happens after that. Even if he wasn't in KC, because I was going up against Ryan, and he at the time he's already a 6-year veteran who knows a very well established veteran in the league. But the Chiefs were honest with me about this is a real competition because we just want the guy that is more accurate, makes more kicks, and we had a tough competition until the very last day of final cuts. It was like down to the last 30 minutes of final cuts. I remember that they decided to release Ryan and go with me, and Ryan was somebody who till this day I talk to, and somebody I look up to as a person,
Yeah, he's a cool,
as a
great
competitor.
guy.
He's an awesome person, and he helped me as a freshman or as a rookie, rather, to kind of settle in and understand what it's like to be. You have to be a consistent kicker with consistent steps and ball flight. That's what coaches look for. A guy that, you miss one kick, everybody misses kicks,
Right.
but you got to figure it out the next play. And then
Exactly.
just through consistency is how you build that weapon to to be able to bounce back so quick. So I learned that from him, and then so I ended up getting a job in KC and being the franchise kicker for 4 years. Broke all kinds of records there. Was in the middle of contract negotiations in training camp in my 4th year, and then there was a rainy day at training camp that we had. It was a big kicking day, and then, so just kicking a lot of heavy balls and stuff throughout that day. It just flared up my groin, and it kind of something that kept flaring up, and to a point where I tore my groin, and that was the end of my journey there, because
Wow.
the team they had to go with the kicker, and also had doubts about how it would be moving forward with negotiations. So they decided to actually release me and take a chance on the young kicker Butker. Obviously Butker took off right away and ended up being best kicker in franchise history. So I just kind of had to go on and look for my other opportunity. And after I rehabbed, just in the streets really, like at home in Jacksonville, and going to a physical therapy on my own, and you're getting calls. I was getting calls from teams because I was respected as a 4-year
really good kicker.
a good kicker at the time, for a winning team, and help my team in playoff games and stuff. So teams were after me, but I wasn't ready, and I kind of had to. I felt I had to rush the process to get back out there before teams start to kind of flipping the page on you. That's like, oh, the guy must be getting injured.
Exactly.
It's taking too long. So I was scared to lose that opportunity. So I took a chance here with the Bears, and but it was so cold that it was like late November when I signed here, and then just kicking those. You have to kick a lot of balls to stay warm and stuff. It ended up tearing my groin again, and and the Bears took care of me. They took me to a specialist in Philly.
So this was your second time tearing your groin?
Yeah, second time in the same season. So then I had to get surgery. Discovered I had more of a sports hernia developing that I didn't know about actually. So it was that was really the cause of my groin issues. So we got surgery done, and what I didn't know was just how much coming back from an injury, like the mental part of it, like the trust in your body. Like physically, you get to a good point that you feel like you can physically start kicking again.
Right.
But mentally, like getting back to that performance level, that trust that your body's not going to do it again. That's the part I think I struggled the most. And then that's when the opportunities start coming with the Rams, with the Bucks, and I was still physically I felt okay. But just mentally, it's just like I know I was hesitant to really step into practices and stuff because you would feel like you're growing. We could happen again. Yeah. So I was in the competition with the kicker that the Buccaneers drafted in 2019, and I was kicking actually really well. But they drafted the kicker with a stronger leg, and with Matt Gay, and then ended up going with Matt after the last preseason game, and that's when Tennessee called me. With Ryan had gotten hurt, and they needed a veteran to come in for as long as Ryan got healthy. So I didn't know how many games I would get with Tennessee, but I knew it was a great opportunity to me to get get back on my feet. And then I think you were actually on the team. We played in a game against Buffalo, and I think I got off to a really good start with Tennessee, and the team was doing well. And then it got to a rough game there that not much was going on offense, and it was a tight game with Buffalo, and we just kept kicking a lot of field goals. And then in pregame of that game, it had rained a lot in pregame. And then I kind of felt my groin flare up, like that kicking in the rain again. And then so I really felt like I didn't trust my groin. And then I missed three field goals that game, and ended up getting cut the next day. And so after that opportunity, it took me, I didn't get signed again the whole the whole year. I think that performance just kind of really maybe spooked teams. But to me, what I liked that I didn't shake my confidence that like I can still be a kicker in this league, but I had to get my confidence in my body right, which is something that I didn't show that game in Tennessee.
Right.
So I had spent the whole off season while the opportunities weren't coming, kind of developing that part with like working with a mental coach and just really like getting stronger and like really trusting my body again. And when I got the opportunity the next year in 2020 with the Bears, the whole process, the whole off season and rest of 2019, I kept telling myself it's only going to take one more opportunity.
Right.
Like I'm ready for that one opportunity to come, and that's all it's going to take for me to get back. And when I had my workout to get signed with the Bears, I crushed it and got an opportunity with the Bears, and it was kind of like me replacing a kicker that had gotten hurt too, Eddie Pinheiro. So again, I was at that stage where I'm just there for 1 week at a time, and until this kicker, their starting kicker comes back. So he brought me back to that day of Tulane of like, and also that day at Tennessee, or those times at Tennessee where like it's just one day at a time, one kick at a time, one game at a time. But this time I was at a much healthier mentally and physically state, and I think I learned so much from that game in Tennessee that it had a fire in me to just go all out. And that year in 2020, I was lights out and broke a bunch of Bears records, and it was really what got my career back on track. And I got re-signed to a 3-year extension after that, and kind of been kicking well these last couple of years to, like you mentioned earlier in the interview, got another extension.
Yeah,
so
man.
Through all these ups and downs in my career, injuries, bad performances, I think I've learned, kind of what I am as a kicker and what I need to focus on. And it's just always like that small one step at a time. And so I don't get caught up too much on my own success, because especially kicking here in Chicago, I feel like it's so difficult, and you have to bring your A player every single day, every kick. Otherwise, you're going to get exposed, if you don't strike the ball well. So I think it teaches me a lot about, being so locked in, one kick at a time. And,
Right.
And it's really what the success for me came from that.
That's an incredible example, but story of just perseverance. Because it's crazy. Because I remember, just like you spoke about in Tennessee, that year, I think either that year, it had to be maybe 2 or 3 years in Tennessee. We ran through like 7, 8 kickers, bro. I can't remember how many kickers.
That, yeah.
But I do remember when we did sign you, and like I said, we was having a tough game against Buffalo. And like I said, we was playing good on defense, couldn't give you nothing good on offense. And like I said, you missed a few kicks, and they released you the next day. And I'm like, bro, what's going on? But obviously, we've had conversations, behind the cameras, but I didn't, up until this year, but I didn't know even back then, like I said, you had the groin injury. Like, obviously, a lot of times when a kicker comes in, you're not really sure of like the backstory of like all these things that you just kind of talked about. So just hearing about that now, obviously, you was dealing with an injury, but I think that's just pretty awesome that you kind of just, you went through all these different emotions, you went through all these different injuries, but you was able to keep fighting back. And you spoke about knowing that you were hurt or that you were coming back and you wanted to strike when the iron was hot and you wanted to keep going, feeling that pressure. And now you're, where you are now, having success. You spoke about talking to a mental coach throughout some of those tough times. I just want you to expand on that a little bit, because, everybody deals with adversity and things like that differently. Some people lean on faith. Some people, talk to therapists and things like that. Just speak on a little bit about you just seeing the mental coach to kind of get you out of that funk, or at least to bring back that confidence that you always had, because you still the guy that you always been, still the great kicker. It just took a little bit of time for your body to get right, but also align the mind and the body. Speak on that a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm big on faith too. So obviously, my faith, I think, during those tough times, I'm proud of like how, I think it's so easy sometimes to question like why things are happening and try to like get mad at God or get mad at like, why is this things happening to me? Like, do I not deserve it? But to me, it was just like, it was something that taught me a lot about just trusting that, like, when the good things are happening to you, like, giving glory to God, and when the bad things are happening, is just thinking that those are gonna turn into lessons for you.
Yeah,
and you actually mentioned that one of these days that like you only lose when you don't learn.
Exactly.
And that like started to like really develop on that. But the mental part was like. It was like the confidence that you have to have. Like once you like, if you truly believe that you are a great performer, you've gone through trials and persevered and have gone through tough kicks, tough games, and rose to that occasion and made the plays. You don't have to go and talk about it, point to yourself, but you have to go and there's certain things that my mental coach helped me just to kind of words to tell yourself, like, it's like, instead of like when you're thinking about like, oh, like there's going to be a big play here, like I can make this play, and thinking more of like, I do make this play.
Right.
Like that's just what you are. Like you have to believe that when opportunities are going to come or have come to you before, you did that to get to this point. So like you do make that play. So like going before kicks, before a workout, and physically like trusting that, okay, like physically I could kick a ball and like not, my groin wasn't there, but if I was doubting that my groin was hurt, I wasn't gonna help me make the kick. But if I was telling myself like the groin, like you're making the kicks.
Exactly.
So like just kind of letting go, and then it started to work for me when I started to shift, and I still use that to every time I go. If the coach calls a field goal, the first thing I tell myself is I do. It's like I'm in this moment. Like it's not like, oh, I can make this play or I will make this play. It's like I do. It's like,
I love that.
And so and other things, just kind of like just kind of keeping your head more up. Like, and I feel like when you come down and you're kind of always looking down, which I tend to do a lot still. Like you kind of bring thoughts, you start thinking a lot. But like when you kind of have your head held high and just kind of going with more of a head, like how high, I feel like you're kind of already overcoming. You're walking your line that you want to go to without thinking. You're not thinking where you're walking on the field and stuff. But I feel like when you're walking, looking down, you're kind of like seeing where you're walking. But when you kind of have your head higher, you're just going. You're just flowing to where you want to go.
Almost got goosebumps. That's
so
dope.
It's like things that like that. So just changing like how you like in games. Like I feel like I really try to think about that a lot. Like just if I feel the pressure kick coming and stuff, it's just like it's like I do, and just like looking higher, and you feel like that confidence building on you, and that's just by what you tell yourself and how you carry your body, So that helped me a lot, like working with that coach, and it's things that it's part of my routine every day and every kick to use those things.
Yeah, just like the positive affirmations. I ain't gonna lie, that was crazy. Like that really got the hair standing up on my back of my neck, because it's just crazy. Because like, I haven't had a mental coach tell me something like that, but I've heard or just spoken to different people and just kind of speaking about the same thing, where it's like, you ever hear when people would be like, for example, if you're talking to your children, right? It was like, instead of telling your children, do not do something, you tell them to do this. You know what I'm saying? So like to hear you put it in that type of way was awesome. It's like, instead of saying like, I'm going to make this play, or for example, to tell a guy that, hey, don't mess up, or don't do this, instead of saying do this. That was pretty incredible, I'm not even gonna lie. And then like just the examples you said of having your head down, you know what I mean? Like, I never even thought about it like that. When you kind of looking down, your head, you think about, because for example, like if you see a guy sitting on the sideline, maybe he just had a bad play, he got his head down, he's probably in his thoughts and things like that, but you keep your head up. Like you said, you kind of feel like you're overcoming. That was powerful. That was awesome. Like you said, it almost leave me speechless a little bit.
Yeah, I had the same reaction too when he kind of explained that to me and taught me that. It's like something that, like, it's like, oh my God, like you feel like the confidence building up
powerful,
already. You have to feel this inner confidence that you see a challenge and you just go, and trust everything. You know, you don't have to think about making the play. Like, you just go and kind of do it.
Right.
Like, and obviously you have to put in the hard work and everything behind the scenes and the preparation during the week to trust that you're gonna do it. But once it's time to do it, like, you don't think about how am I gonna do it. You just think about
doing it. That's awesome. Let me ask you this, kind of switch it up a little bit. Are you very superstitious? Because I feel like kickers, the kickers I've known, punters, they're very, not necessarily superstitious, but very like detailed in their routine and everything they do. Are you like that as a kicker?
So much. Like, it's like,
what is that about kickers that it like just kind of like they need everything to be exactly this way? Like, what is that?
So I wouldn't call it superstition, but it's like I'm a routinist. Is that a word? Yeah, routinist.
I guess I don't know if that's a word or not. Honestly.
I'll make it a word, but yeah, I mean, just how I try to practice during the week. Like, when a field goal is called, like, my run up to the field, to the spot where I'm gonna kick, and I even started in the last couple of years I start taking so the play clock goes, and as soon as that third down is over, the 40-second play clock begins. So early in my career, I felt like that was like I would run to the field and get my spot, and then start taking my steps and feel like I was rushing that process because you just kind of the adrenaline starts kicking in, and you feel the moment, like, and then you just feel a little bit of a blur in my memory. Like, it's like, how are my steps? Like, if I made or missed the kick, it was like it just felt like a blur. Like, I wasn't remembering how it felt until even learn from the kick. So I started to take my steps. I usually wait till 20 seconds. I look at the play clock, and then 20 seconds, I take my steps back. Okay. So that's, for me, something that I can even control in the practice field. So when you guys are having your periods there, I'm looking at the play clock for practice, and I'm taking my kicks. I wait till 20 seconds on that play clock, and then I take my steps back to the side, kind of do my routine. And then, so I feel like I'm always starting at the same time and always kicking at the same time. And that creates that consistency where when the moment comes, I'm telling myself, like, just get into your routine. Like, when a field goal gets called, no matter how far it is, just run to the field the same way. Like, that's why I start, first thing I say is I'm telling myself I do. Right. Then I get to the spot in the field, we'll look at the grass and how, where my plant's going to be, kind of maybe if I need the grass sitting a little high, or if there's like a hole or something, like kind of adjust to that, and then wait till the play clock gets to 20 seconds, and then boom, then you kind of starting to like get into that unconscious. Like, I can't remember the last time I actually like listened to the crowd. Like, I know because I watch the replays and the kicking at away games, like the crowd gets loud when you kick a ball, but so you hear it in your like subconscious, but you don't listen to it.
You just zone it out.
But
that's a skill.
That's a skill that
and
I think having a routine allows you to focus on that and remind yourself to just focus on a routine. So you don't you control the moment. You don't let outside pressure, wind, and stuff like kind of get in your focus at that moment. So that's why I'm very specific about my steps that I take, my thoughts that I try to tell myself during those 20 seconds, and it's been working for me. So I mean, it's something that I get kind of like super excited to work on every day because I can find ways to get better. I didn't start using that display clock until the last 2 years, and I feel like it took my game, especially 50-yard plus field goals, to a different level because it's easy to get juiced up for a long field goal because you not only that you're confident that you can make it, but it looks good on your stats and your numbers and as how you are as a kicker. So like you want to make that kick, but you can't. You still gotta calm yourself, get yourself into a routine too worked up, and then I started to make more kicks because of that. So
that's crazy. I mean, like you said, it's just making every kick feels the same. I'm very routine based when it comes to like my weekly preparation. Not so much more like I do like to have my game days very similar, but like play to play, you got to adjust and so many different things that can happen. But I'm definitely routine based, like what I do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even like pregame. the time I get to the stadium, I like to get there 3 hours before the game. I like to go on the field probably about 2 hours, an hour 45 before. Like I try to do the same thing every time.
Yeah.
I'm getting my body work at the same time every single week. So that makes a lot of sense. Like you said, it kind of relaxes you for everything, and it makes everything feel the same, because regardless if you're playing the Green Bay Packers, which we're doing this week, or you know, any team, you don't really, or if it's a playoff game or a preseason, regular season game, it all feels the same, and you're not really like, you know, because as you get throughout the year, you know, you get through certain wins, you get through certain games, there are going to be distractions. There's going to be a build-up for this and that. But, you know, at the end of the day, the lines are still the same on the field. There's going to be people in the stands. There's going to be this and that, and you want everything to be as calm as possible. So whatever you've been doing, continue to do it. I would definitely tell you that. Please continue to do that. And like I said, just the one reason why I wanted to bring you on here, because I definitely want to give you your flowers. And, you know, I feel like the main thing is that when you hear about a kicker a lot, usually it's either super good or super bad. You know what I mean? Like either he's having a phenomenal year or he's missing kicks. So a lot of times, and more often than not, when you don't hear too much about the kickers, that's usually a good thing. You know what I mean? Because that means you've been doing your job, you're making all your kicks, and obviously you're making all your kicks this year. So like I said, man, we appreciate you as a captain. I appreciate you. I honestly feel like you're a captain, even though you don't have a C on your jersey. You're one of the leaders on the team. The team appreciates you for sure. So yeah, man, Cairo, I appreciate you coming on the show. And Cairo has been Intercepted. And thanks for coming on the show this week. And appreciate you guys for watching, man. So stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thanks for watching Intercepted. Make sure to stay glued to the recap for new episodes all season here on YouTube.